How are you proposing that you'll be involved in running the quarantine program in New South Wales? What is the plan?
Well, we've been involved with each of the states across the country over the past 6 months or so, and we've been putting forward across the industry 7,000 beds across the various states. So when each of the states are putting forward their proposals, we have been in the forefront of being participants in those, and the New South Wales one is no different.
So you're looking at having students quarantining at UniLodge accommodation. Is that the plan? And if so, how are you expecting that you'll be able to do what is essentially a quarantine system any better than the hotel quarantine system we've seen in place? I mean, we've seen just how easily blunders can lead to pretty serious consequences and outbreaks.
Yes. Well, the proposal is not ours specifically, it's the New South Wales government. So they are the ones that are managing the process, and our role will be very similar if indeed we were to be part of it, because that's not decided. We don't know the details at this moment in time. But if we were to, it would be very similar to the hotel quarantine program. I think the difference between hotels in general and student accommodation is the fact that one, we are used to having cohorts living in our buildings for a long period of time. So we have pastoral care, for example, that is unique to our industry. And we have things, for example, in our organisation with UniLodge, we have dedicated health apps with geofencing around buildings, so we can have a much tighter control of the cohorts in our buildings. But all of that is up to New South Wales government, who they choose to be participants, and if we're part of it, we'd be happy to do so.
So how far along are those discussions? And I know you have accommodation all over the country. Are there similar proposals, similar deals in the works with other states and territories?
Yeah, other states have had various go at this solution, but New South Wales is the most advanced at this moment in time. And as mentioned, they haven't made any decisions or come back to us in terms of specifics or specific participants. So it's in their court at the moment, and when they make those decisions, then our industry will rally behind it.
Just how brutal has the pandemic been for you? How has it affected UniLodge? How many of your rooms are really just sitting there empty right now?
Well, the industry have found it challenging, and it's different by different destinations. So we've seen a little bit of a drift into more regional destinations. Down in Victoria is the worst by far, because you have a combination of hotel oversupply, apartment oversupply, and student accommodation supply, and very conservative political initiatives in that space. So down in Victoria, there's a great opportunity for pilots. But elsewhere around the country, they've started in SA and stopped and looked at various things. So they're at pause at the moment. Queensland had a run late last year, and they're at pause at the moment, but gearing back up again. Down in ACT, they've had evaluations down there. So each of the states are looking at it. I think what we've been calling for throughout and early in the piece is really a coordinated effort between federal, state and industry. And if you can have the tourism industry, the education sector, federal and state and the airlines, coordinated effort and start earlier and plan forward, we think we would have been in a much better position now.
Well, as we mentioned, we're seeing New South Wales going ahead on this plan, essentially solo. What is your assessment of the way the federal government has handled this? I know many from within the university sector have said they feel really abandoned by this week's federal budget. Were you equally disappointed?
Yeah, very much so. I think this is the biggest spending budget we've seen here in Australia, and to leave behind the two most promising service industries that this country has, that used to be the shining light of the future of the economy in education and tourism and the airlines, to leave them behind completely at this moment in time is difficult to fathom. And so, you know, in our situation, we know that it's going to be a very difficult time. We've been focusing on practical solutions as opposed to handouts. It's not like we're the manufacturing industry that is asking for support in that sense. We've just been asking for practical coordinated effort between a number of stakeholders so we can be clever about the solutions as opposed to working in isolation with firewalls between each of the states. And as I said, we have a working group as an industry. We put forward our buildings, and we put our hands out to be a party to any initiative in any state. But we'd like the federal to take a lead in this.
Tomas Johnsson, best of luck with it all. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.